have some breaking news coming in. The government has issued guidelines for international arrivals in India, and which will be effective from December 24. And as per the new advisory, all travellers should preferably be fully vaccinated as per the approved primary schedule of vaccination against COVID. And any passenger having symptoms of COVID during travel shall be isolated as per standard protocol. The passenger should be wearing a mask, isolated and segregated from other passengers in flight, and shifted to an isolation facility subsequently for follow-up treatment. So we have this breaking news coming in. The government has issued guidelines for international arrivals in India, which will be effective from December 24th. My colleague Yash is joining us to give us more details on this. Yash, over to you.
Well, yes, definitely, Anjali. These guidelines have been issued by the central government owing to the situation which has emerged in China due to the rising cases of COVID. And in fact, the government has swung into action, and these guidelines have been put up by the central government. And these guidelines, as you correctly mentioned, will be in place from tomorrow, which is December 24th. And in fact, I'm coming to you from the international airport, from the Indira Gandhi International Airport, the Delhi International Airport. In fact, these are the early morning visuals, and in fact, from tomorrow morning, there will be certain protocols will be placed at this particular airport. If we talk about boarding an international flight for any person who wants to enter India, the first very important guideline will be that person should be vaccinated as per the schedule by their country. Fully vaccinated, I must lament on this fact, the person should be fully vaccinated, and then all the COVID protocols should be followed inside the flight, be it social distancing, be it masking, be it other protocols. And then when the person lands here at this very particular airport or any international airport in the country, that person should undergo a thermal scan at these airports. And in fact, one very important guideline which the government has issued over here is that 2% random testing will be done of all the passengers who will be arriving at international airports. And so these are the very major guidelines which have been put in place by the government, and these guidelines will come into effect from tomorrow, which is December 24th. And let me tell you to our viewers, these guidelines are more or less the same guidelines which government had issued earlier also when we have seen the 3 waves of COVID-19 in India. And in fact, this time around, the measures will be stringent because the government do not want any sort of situation to arise which arise earlier during the first 3 waves. And in fact, the guidelines which will be put in place from tomorrow also includes very important steps, like if the person finds himself symptomatic of COVID-19, that person should immediately tell the authorities, and that person will be segregated from the entire crowd or the entire passengers who are traveling in that particular flight, and that person will be isolated, and then he will be taken to a COVID center here in the national capital or in the respective state where that person is traveling from. And in fact, other guidelines are also very important in this entire case to actually stop the havoc of this COVID-19 which China and other countries are witnessing, be it the US. And we have seen how these cases are rising in the countries like China and the US owing to this BF7 variant of COVID-19, and which is a sublineage of Omicron. And in fact, talking about other guidelines which will be in place from tomorrow, if a person in fact goes on from this very particular airport or any international airport in the country, and if he finds himself suffering from any sort of symptoms later, in fact when he's not landed, if he's not having those symptoms, but later he finds that he has certain symptoms of COVID-19, be it sore throat, be it fever, be it fatigue, he should actually contact the authorities, and he should give a cognizance to them that, see, I traveled from this very country and I've landed here in India, and now I'm suffering these symptoms. So this is what the government is trying to do. The government is trying to right now take every possible step to make sure that this COVID-19 wave could be stopped in the country, and no passenger from outside the country could bring this very infectious variant to the country. Back to you.
All right, Yash. We also have Shireen with us. Shireen, are there any specific countries which have been marked in the guidelines like we saw earlier, or is this guidelines for all the international arrivals?
As of now, it is for all the international arrivals, and the guidelines has in fact been divided into 3 categories. One is when you travel. During the travel, you have to be fully vaccinated. Apart from that, during the travel, there is going to be an in-flight announcement about the measures that has been taken by the flight. Apart from that, on arrival, now this is the most important part. There is already announced that there is going to be 2% of the sample testing that will be done at the airport. Apart from that, any of the passengers, if they are showing any symptoms, they have to be segregated from the line. They have to wear mask and have to maintain a social distancing. In case in the sample testing, any of the passengers have in fact been found positive, their sample need to be sent to genome sequencing, because genome sequencing is what is going to ensure whether there is in fact any sort of new variant that has arisen in India. As of now, we are seeing 4 cases of BF7 in the country, which is the same variant, sub-variant of Omicron, which is creating havoc in China. And that is, of course, a concern for the government of India. And that is why any of the passengers in all international as well as domestic airport, because this does not specify whether this is just for the international passengers. This is both for domestic as well as international passengers. And in case they are found positive, their samples will be sent to genome sequencing and they will be monitored. They have to approach the nearby healthcare center as well once they are out of the airport, and they need to tell them that they have in fact traveled, and accordingly they will be monitored for few days. So this is the guideline that has been put after a big crucial meeting happened with the Prime Minister, where the Civil Aviation Minister Jyotiradittya Scindia was also present. The Health Minister Mansukh Mandaviya was also present, after which a fresh guideline is out now, which will come into effect from 24 December, that is tomorrow, from 10 a.m.
All right, Shireen and Yash, please stay with us. We have some more breaking news